Hi everyone, Scott with CyberScribe.org, and in this video we're going to be talking about port security for the Cisco IOS. We're going to be working with just a couple devices here, but mainly a switch. Now, we're not going to be configuring anything on these computers, but these are just for the examples that I'll be doing later. So, previous videos I talked about configuring passwords and default gateways and host names and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to show you about the port security and how it works and the different commands. So, if you're looking for a little bit more, check out those earlier videos. Because what I'm doing here, this is not really a full configuration of a router. You can't just do port security, you need to have your passwords and all that other stuff. So check out the other videos for that. But port security, let's get started with that. What it is, remember your switch is a layer 2 device, so it's going to be doing all these things by MAC addresses. So port security says on each port, if you configure port security, you can say, well, I want 2 MAC addresses on this. I want 2 devices only to connect to this port. Any more than that, shut it down, right? Or I only want 1 device on this. So if there's more than that, well, just block them. Don't shut it down, but just, or block them and send me a message about it too on the switch there. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. And let's get started into how we would configure it. First thing we're going to do is assign an IP address to the switch. And that's in the interface VLAN 1. No shutdown? Okay. Let's do a show. And show IP int brief, and now we'll see that we are up. Fast Ethernet is up, and the VLAN is up as well. So that's what we're going to be pinging from the computers. And the reason we're going to be pinging from the computers later is so the switch learns those MAC addresses. Okay, so like I said, this is configured on the actual port itself. So I'm connected to the first port. Well, we're going into the interface F01. First thing you need to do, Switchport Mode. Let's just see what options you have. Yeah, access, dynamic, and trunk. We need access. So that's if you're configuring like computers and devices and laptops and that kind of stuff. You want access. Trunk is when you're going from switch to switch, or switch to router, depending. Okay, switch port mode access. Now we're just going to set right up with the port security. Okay, now what you just did enables a port security, and you have defaults everywhere. So we need to change a couple things. Let's go back there and let's see what options we have. Okay, so only 3 options. There's not too much here. So let's just go to maximum first. So that's going to be, say, I only want 1, in our example, I only want 1 MAC address, only 1 device connecting. So I'm going to just set it to maximum as 1. Okay. Now, the MAC address there is going to tell you, well, how are those MAC addresses learned? So that's what we need to do. And let's check the options. First option is we can just input manually the MAC address. You can do that, but if you're talking about doing this for a lot of stuff, it can be a real pain, especially because, like right now, because this is on a simulator, all these devices are right in front of me. But if you're in a real production environment, you're going to be getting up, going over here, doing that. So sticky is probably the better way because it's dynamically. The only thing to watch with that is if your first device is connected, that's going to be the one that the MAC address or that the switch learns. So right now my maximum is 1. So the first MAC address that switch learns is going to be the only one. So that's just something to be aware of. For example, if the MAC address maximum was 2, well then the first 2 devices that the switch learned about, that port learned about, would be allowed. Everything else, blocked. So just be aware of the numbers that you're putting in here. Okay. And that is just about it for this stuff. So let's go back and do a show running configuration. You can see in the running config how some of these things are set up right there. Okay, and there's another one. It's show port security, and then you only have 2 address. Let's see. Okay, so at this point the switch hasn't learned of any MAC addresses. And the other one is interface, and the interface is going to be fast Ethernet 1. Okay, now this gives you a little bit more information. And port security is enabled. So the status is up. Violation mode is shut down. Okay, so what this is going to do is, if the we're going to connect with this laptop next. We're going to just move the cable over, and what's going to happen is that's a violation because there's only one MAC address allowed. That's this MAC address. So when it finds that this MAC address is trying to connect to that same port, that's a violation, and it's going to shut down the port. We'll see that in a minute. And there's 2 other modes, and those just are going to block that MAC address. They're not going to shut down the whole port. Okay, so like it says, total MAC address is 0, configured 0, sticky 0. It's because it hasn't learned any MAC addresses yet. Now let's do see if we can do a ping. Ping to the switch from the PC 0. And hopefully it will work. Okay, now let's just redo this command, and we should see that MAC address from that PC. Okay, so it just learned right now, just doing that. You got your sticky MAC address right there, and all that stuff. And that's C7B1. Let's just double check. See the middle one, C7B1. So it has learned this one. Okay, at this point, what we're going to do is port security is configured for us right now. So what I want to do is I'm going to go and just move this cable and move it to the laptop, connect it. Fast forward the time, and we will. Now let's try to ping. Just do the same thing. Okay. And you see how it got shut down? And it just shut down the device because there was only one allowed. This is a different one, so it shut it down. This is the default. Okay. So let's finish that ping. Okay. Now let's move it back. Now, okay, how do you get this line back up? Well, you have to enter the shutdown and then no shutdown commands on that interface. But you have to move it back to here. Because if you do the shutdown, or no shutdown, and activate the link when it's on that address there, it's going to learn that address. So you want it on this one because this is the address you want to learn. Remember, when you're you dynamically learning it, you know, it's not saved forever. So the thing is, if your link is shut down, you're going to learn this address if you turn it back on when it's connected to this one. So we want this one connected again. Okay, now let's go. Okay, let's just do a do show IP interface brief, and then you can see how it is. See how it just says down. It doesn't say administratively down. It's just down. Okay. So how you fix that is, well, let's actually do a do show port security interface F01, and let's see what we got. Okay, security violation count 1. So see, it shows that the it's already done that. Okay, now let's get it back up. So we're going to shut down. Okay, so now we're in administratively down, and then we're going to do no shutdown. Okay, you see how the lights changed, and now you're back up. Let's do an ARP request. Do show ARP. Okay, so it only knows that IP address there. Oops. Okay. So sometimes the other time it learned it right away, and the thing is, when you're in a production environment, your computers are sending more these aren't really sending anything. But when it's a real computer and your real connections and real applications and network cards and stuff, you're sending stuff back and forth. So it will learn it pretty quick. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to change the violation mode to restrict, and you'll see how that works. So and you're going to say violation and check out the options. Protect and restrict are the same thing, except restrict is just going to like log a message, where protect is just not going to. Protect and restrict, when this laptop tries to connect again, it's going to just, it's not going to shut down the port, it's just not going to allow that traffic. Okay, so right now let's have the switch learn the MAC address of this PC again. Okay, so right now you see that communication, so just learn that MAC address, because see how we showed that ARP and it wasn't there? It should be there now. But let's go to restrict, and just to show you, you see now how it's learned it right there? Okay. Okay, now let's go do show run, and we should see that the violation mode is restrict now. And you see that right there? So what this means is it's not going to shut down the port when we try to connect this laptop. It's just not going to allow the laptop to connect. So let's get out of that, and let's try it again. Fast forward. Okay. And just watch what happens. You see, it didn't shut down. It's still up. And we'll fast forward. So it's 100% lost. No communication, because it's just blocking it. It's not allowing, because it's the wrong MAC address, it's not allowing any communication there. Let's go back to this PC here. Now this is the right MAC address. Now let's do that. And it's going to have to find it again. It'll take a second or two. But there you go. So you see how that works? So this one is not the right MAC address. Because of that, it's blocked. Right? This one was the first MAC address that it learned, and because of that, it works. Right? The ping works. There is communication there, and you can see that again. Okay. So that's it. With these things, you know, it's nice to have these simulators or emulators, because you can set up different topologies, and you can have a whole bunch of stuff going, and for the most part, you'll get how these things work with port security, and as you get further up the line too, with access control lists and VLANs, especially VLANs, I think, because then you're talking about like groups of at least 4 computers, and you might, not many people have that kind of equipment at home. So these, this one, or GNS3, like I said, it's open source and it's an emulator, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with that one. But that's all I wanted to show you with this. This is port security, and like I said, the best thing is just to do it, try it out, and just play around with this stuff. And then, after a little bit, you'll have a pretty good grasp of what this is all about. And that's all I had for you today. And if you liked it, subscribe, check out some future videos, and I think we'll be doing VLANs next. So I will be seeing you in future videos.